Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Welcome to this week's Killer Innovation Show. We are still in the mobile studio, still traveling around. This week's episode actually got triggered through a series of questions that I was asked around my experience of having met Elon Musk and understanding what makes him so successful. And as I sat back and thought about that, and not just Elon, but of all the leaders that I've had the benefit of engaging with or admire from afar, what is that unique characteristic that really makes them stand out? You know, they need to be smart people. They need to be creative. They need to be good leaders. But what's that one characteristic? And when I boiled it all down and really thought long and hard about it, it's really about the fact that they can and are willing to embrace risk. And not just risk from, do you try something a little bit different, but to really become that visionary leader by embracing risk. Not just a leader, but become that visionary leader, a transformative leader, a leader that's going to create an outsized level of impact and success and growth and influence and make the world a better place. Becoming that visionary leader by their ability and comfort with embracing risk. And not all of us are comfortable with embracing risk. Some of you may not be somebody that is risky, right? And some are more so than others. But getting comfortable and understanding that risk is not always the way you think about it. Good decision making, good understanding of risk, how to measure risk, how to mitigate risk, all are part of the innovation journey. And that is what we're going to talk about in today's episode. But before we hop onto this week's episode, I've got that favor to ask: follow, like, and share. Follow us on social media. Keep up with all the conversation. Like us, give us a 5-star rating, helps others find the show, and share it. If there's other people who you think would benefit from this week's episode, forward them the link, email it to them, post it on your own social media, let others know. I would greatly appreciate it. And without further ado, let's hop in to this week's episode. Are you ready to take your leadership skills to that next level? Visionary leaders possess a unique combination of characteristics that set them apart from other leaders. They have the confidence to make tough decisions and the creativity to develop innovative solutions. It is their willingness to embrace risk that truly sets visionary leaders apart. But what are the qualities of visionary leaders? Their ambition, creativity, and courage set them apart from all others. They are naturally inquisitive. They ask lots of questions, and they look for innovative solutions. They have an entrepreneurial spirit that drives them to take risk and embrace change. So let's take a look at these qualities. Their courage is key, as they must make decisions even when there's uncertainty or risk involved. Visionary leaders are not afraid to take risks, knowing that without risk, there's little chance of success. As such, they accept responsibility for their decisions and embrace failure as a learning experience. They believe that no matter how difficult something may seem, anything can be accomplished if one sets their mind to it. Visionary leaders push themselves further than anyone else to reach new heights, creating opportunities for others along the way. Besides being ambitious and having an eye for potential opportunities, visionary leaders possess a strong communication skills and empathy towards those around them. They understand everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, which makes them open minded about strategies and solutions put forth by team members, something that helps build a sense of trust between all of those involved. And lastly, visionary leaders know when it's time to move on. Move on from a project or task in order to progress further. This is something which shows great awareness of both internal and external circumstances. So, what about embracing risk? Visionary leaders are characterized by their willingness and expectation, and their excitement in some cases, to take on risks. They understand that to achieve success and reach new heights, one must be willing to step out of their comfort zone and try something new. Risk taking behavior for visionary leaders can be manifested in a variety of ways. For example, they may take calculated risks to capitalize on opportunities leading to bigger rewards. They may also be willing to try innovative solutions or methods that no one else has tried before, as this kind of experimentation has the potential for major breakthroughs. These risk takers often go against popular opinion or convention to pursue their ideas and dreams. Visionary leaders recognize that sometimes taking the path less traveled is necessary, and they have the courage and conviction to act even when faced with criticism or doubt from others. Visionary leaders understand that failure is an essential part of the learning process. They don't allow fear of failure or uncertainty to deter them from trying something new. Instead, they embrace it as a source of knowledge and growth. They learn from each situation and use it as a stepping stone towards future success. So, what are the benefits of taking risk? Taking risk as a leader is an essential part of developing into this next level of a visionary leader. To be deemed successful, one must be able to think ahead and anticipate the possible consequences of taking certain risks. For example, if you take a risk by investing in emerging technology that could potentially become popular, you would gain from being ahead of the curve and having the opportunity to capitalize on its success before anyone else. Learning how to identify potential opportunities for growth and success requires an understanding of risk-taking principles. This involves learning how to manage and minimize risks when necessary. Knowing when it's wise to take a risk and when it's better not to can be critical for staying competitive in the marketplace. Taking unnecessary risks can lead to serious setbacks or failures. So it's important to understand what could go wrong with any decision before making it. Leaders who can identify potential risks and opportunities while still willing to take necessary ones will always come out ahead in the long run. Effective risk management helps leaders make informed decisions that optimize their time and resources, as well as identify opportunities with high potential returns versus those with low potential returns. This allows them to focus on more productive endeavors than simply following trends or relying on guesswork alone. While some may naturally thrive on taking big risks without considering the consequences, this is rarely ever effective in the long term. Leaders must always use their knowledge of risk-taking principles plus their understanding of their current situation in order to make informed decisions that will benefit them both now and in the future. By learning how to manage and assess potential risk associated with any decision they make, leaders can help ensure that they stay competitively viable while being able to capitalize on potential opportunities quickly before anyone else has the chance to. So, how do you bring this all together? How do you take risks? To start taking risks and reap the rewards, one must first understand how to identify potential opportunities for growth and success while being able to manage and minimize risk when necessary. With this understanding of both sides of risk taking, Leaders can make informed decisions that will allow them to seize opportunities while mitigating competitive threats. Step one is calculate the risk. When it comes to embracing risk as a leader, the most important thing is to be mindful and make sure that any risks taken are calculated. This means not taking unnecessary risk where potential upside does not outweigh the downside. To take responsible risk as a leader, it's important to take an inventory of yourself and your organization. Identify your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats in order to get an idea of what risk may be worth considering and which ones should be avoided. Some questions you should ask yourself are: what are the potential rewards and risks associated with this decision? What is the most likely outcome of taking this risk? Are there any alternative options that might be less risky? How can we protect ourselves against potential losses if things don't go as planned? Is my organization prepared to handle the negative outcome from taking this risk? And how do I measure the success or failure of this risk taken? Next, decision-making process needs to include risk. Becoming aware of your decision-making process and how risk factors into it is absolutely critical. Figure out what type of knowledge or information you need in order to make informed decisions about when it's appropriate to take certain risks. Consider investing in data analysis tools or hiring experts who can help make better informed decisions regarding risk taking. Additionally, adopt a learning culture by encouraging others to share their successes and failures when discussing potential opportunities or threats. Here are some of the questions you should be asking yourselves. How can we analyze data to make a more informed decision regarding risk? What tools can help us assess the potential risk of certain actions? Are there any experts we could consult that better understand the implications of our decisions on risk? What have been other successful and unsuccessful experiences regarding managing risk in similar cases? How can we create an environment that encourages open communication among stakeholders in order to make more informed decisions? Next is how do you assess the risk of success and failure, looking at both sides? In addition to understanding when it's wise to take certain risk, leaders should also create processes for assessing each risk's potential for success and failure before committing any resource to pursue them. Prioritize new ideas that have been thoroughly assessed rather than blindly investing resources into unproven concepts that could potentially fail, with disaster results if no proper measures are taken beforehand. Some of the questions you should ask yourself are: what are the potential issues that could arise from this risk? What resources will be needed to make sure this risk is successful? How likely is it that this risk will generate a positive return on your investment? Do you have enough resources and personnel in place to execute the plan for taking on this risk successfully? And what are some alternative strategies or solutions if things don't go as planned? Next, and probably one of the more critical steps, and the one that is most commonly overlooked, is having contingency plans, formal contingency plans. Leaders should also ensure that they have contingency plans for all the scenarios resulting from taking on a given risk. This will help reduce uncertainty while still allowing them the freedom to pursue more daring endeavors, without the fear of total failure if something inevitably goes wrong during implementation. Some of the questions you should be asking yourself are: what are the possible risks associated with this decision? How can we mitigate each of these risks? What is the calculated impact if the mitigation plan is executed? Are there any potential long-term consequences of taking this risk? Have all stakeholders been consulted before about the potential impacts of taking the risk and the mitigation plan for it? And who would be responsible for managing and mitigating adverse effects if something went wrong? And now, last but not least, avoiding analysis paralysis. In the end, visionary leaders take risks and are comfortable with some uncertainty. They take on calculated risks based on thorough research and analysis, but they don't let their team fall into analysis paralysis, where they never actually act on anything due to fear. As a leader, it is important to make timely decisions that will accelerate progress for the organization. So, some of the questions you should ask yourself: how can leaders ensure their decision-making process leads to action instead of stagnation? What is knowable and what is unknown about this risk? Are we prepared for unexpected outcomes of taking on this risk? Are there any external factors that may affect the outcome of our decision to take on this risk? And how can this decision provide a lasting benefit to our organization, customers, and team members? Now, we've been talking a lot about benefits, positive risk, negative risk, etc. What does it take to be a visionary leader? Let me talk you through an example of a visionary leader. Now, the one example that I like to use of someone who took an outsized risk is Elon Musk, the founder and CEO of SpaceX and Tesla Motors, and someone who I have spent significant one-on-one time with. Musk has disrupted the aerospace and automotive industries with his bold strategies for ushering in a new era of innovation. In 2002, Musk founded SpaceX with the goal of reducing space transportation costs to enable the colonization of Mars. This was considered an incredibly risky endeavor, as no other private company have ever succeeded in reaching orbit. Despite this, he invested $100 million of his own money into the venture and tirelessly worked to develop reliable, reusable rocket technology that could revolutionize space exploration. After several failed attempts to reach orbit, SpaceX eventually succeeded in 2008 when its Falcon 1 rocket became the first privately funded, liquid-fueled vehicle to do so. Since then, SpaceX has achieved multiple firsts, such as sending cargo vehicles to resupply the International Space Station, or launching the world's most powerful operational rocket as Falcon Heavy, becoming the first commercial entity to fly astronauts to the space station with its Crew Dragon spacecraft, and producing highly reusable technology such as its Starship vehicle that could send people to Mars in the coming years. Through his achievements at SpaceX, Elon Musk stands out as a visionary leader through taking outside risks that have pushed humanity forward. In conclusion, today's ambitious leaders are facing a challenge. Take innovation risk despite uncertainty and doubt, or play it safe. It may seem like uncharted terrain at times, but taking risk has the potential for game-changing success. However, navigating risk requires careful planning to ensure informed decisions. It's important to assess a situation by looking at the entire picture and considering all factors from financial cost to potential outcomes. A successful risk taker must be willing to take calculated risk, challenge assumptions, and understand that failure is part of any innovation journey. Ultimately, taking innovation risk can lead to rewards far greater than playing it safe. So, how do you think about risk? Are you comfortable with it, or just even the concept of risk makes your palms sweat, makes you nervous, makes you anxious? I'm hoping that with today's episode, giving you a little bit more comfort feel on thinking about risk strategically. Now, I can't go through and give you everything on how to calculate risk in a single episode, and maybe we'll make that a future topic, but hopefully giving you a comfort feel that risk is not just some random flip a coin, hope it works, but if you embed r- understanding risk, calculating risk, understanding the upside and the downside, having mitigation plans, etc., you can manage risk to your advantage. And for visionary leaders, that is what it's all about. Innovation is risky, but understanding how to manage risk, it becomes a key skill set, a key ability that any and all teams that are trying to have innovation impact need to understand, embrace, and take advantage of. So while today you may not all be all that comfortable with risk, understanding that you can manage that risk, you can mitigate that risk, you can look at the upside and the downside to make informed decisions on, is this risk acceptable? Is there enough upside to offset the risk of a downside? All of those things play a critical role and get you more comfortable with the fact that any decision made from a leader is risky, but visionary leaders manage that risk and know that the only way to be successful, to be truly transformative in your work, is you must take risk. You cannot take the safe way out. That does not have the impact, and the likelihood of success is orders of magnitude lower. So, with that, hopefully this inspires you today to think differently about risk. That was my objective. Would love to hear your feedback. Post a comment either on over at killerinnovations.com or over at theinnovators.network. Also, you can drop me an email, phil@killerinnovations.com, or if you get the weekly newsletter or the real-time daily newsletter, you can simply just hit a reply to that newsletter and send your comments back on anything you see or anything you thought about the previous episodes. So, again, thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate that you've taken this time to spend with us here with the show. I will be offline here for maybe a little bit of time, but I'm actually building up a backlog of shows to make sure that you get fresh and new content. So while I may be offline for a little bit, you will have shows here, so don't go anywhere. Shows will still be coming out, keeping you updated, informed, and hopefully helping you build up your own innovation confidence as you step out with your ideas and your innovations and change the world. And with that, we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.